welcome to another video. This is Todd from Figure Fiend. This video I'm going to cover some Mego horror figure development, or at least in the style of Mego. This would have been the first head that I ever sculpted, actually. I was looking for something to do that hadn't been done before, and I was really drawn to Dick Smith's makeup for Dorian Gray. This is one of the few color photos I could actually find of it. So that's what I set out to do. I set out to sculpt his head. I had gotten my hands on a Phantom, like the Topps Phantom, and wanted to use it as body. So this is the first test that was run in resin. And I was pretty happy with the way it came out. I did not use the Phantom body. Instead I went for a more sleek approach where I found this colonial suit on Figures Toy Company. It was a little bit more sleek, a little bit more tight-fitting. I did go in and start doing an illustration as well for the package. This is my underpainting, because I wanted to do my own custom illustrations on the first couple waves of figures that I was doing. So this is the color fill-in for the underpainting, and this shows the final version packaged. I wanted to go very famous monsters too, in terms of like the colors and vibe. So after Dorian Gray, I moved on to some Hammer themed characters that hadn't been done, like the Priest from Plague of the Zombies. I always loved this character, and I loved the fact that he came with this stuff, or at least in the film. He had the vial, he had the doll, it had a coffin, he had this symbol on his chest that was all very unique, and I loved his like little dread things coming down. So I worked on him. And this is also the underpainting that was done, and the color that was done for the packaging. I painted these in Procreate, just looking at photos for reference. And then once, again, went for the Famous Monsters cover in terms of like color and tone and vibe. And after him, I wanted to do Curse of the Werewolf, because this is one of the other mainstay Hammer characters that hadn't been done. The first version I did, once he was done and he was painted, I decided the head was too narrow. It just didn't really look like him. It looked like a werewolf, but it didn't look like him. Also, he was too dark. So I went back, I did another sculpting pass at widening the head, making it more triangular shaped overall, widening the lower jaw, increasing the scale of the teeth, and I was much happier with the second result. And lightening up the tones of the fur. You know, these were also pieces I'd gotten from FTC. At this point, I was kit bashing. I wasn't doing any patterns. And just starting my way on at least learning how to do this kind of stuff. And really happy with the way it came out at the time. And afterwards, this was a simple one. I wanted to do the ghoul from Carnival of Souls. He was very straightforward, because it's literally just sculpting a head. And then I had to do a painting for the packaging, as well as redraw the logo. I couldn't find any high-res samples of any of the stuff online, so I just took a photograph and did a painting. And I did a color version of that as well. I released both of these. This guy I bring to shows occasionally just because he's fun, and I really like Carnival of Souls, really. So after that, I was looking at the mask from the 60s, the one that had you wear 3D glasses when the character put the mask on, and I always loved the theme of this. So this figure, as simple as it is, the head took probably way more time than anything else, because each of the little plates, the little squares, had to be placed by hand, even digitally, and rotated, and it took a really long time. It was a lot of fun to make the head though, and I did try different finishes, like gloss finishes, metallic finishes, just to make it shine. Also, I was drawn to the foreign posters. I believe this was an Italian one that I thought was really awesome. It's just really colorful and kind of wild. And after him, I moved on to Tombs of the Blind Dead. I was always drawn to this character. The character design was super iconic for me. And I had tried to use a red robe from a Reaper at the time, and bleaching it, I could never get all the red out. So after bleaching it, I just started using a series of dyes and powders and made my own crust that I just covered the surface. I also did a painting for him as well. And he was really just sculpting the head, doing the sword. You know, it's pretty straightforward. Here again is the same horse that you might have seen in the Ghost Rider video. This is the Blue Ribbon Champion horse. I actually spotted one at Hobby Lobby if anybody's interested. So this was me sewing by hand the different like canopy ports for the horse, and then treating the horse with the same techniques, at least the clothing that I used for the fabric of the figure, which was a lot of like weathering powders, and I made my own mud mixture with wood glue and actually dirt just to get that look. After doing him, I wanted to do Curse of the Demon, Night of the Demon. This, I think, was the most difficult figure I had done at this time to date. He was really complicated with the goat legs, the goat feet, clawed hands, a unique head that was very big, and also having the wings. So once again, I used the Hawkman FTC wings, or Birdman wings. They're one and the same, just two different colors. And I made an underframe for him. I actually even built the tiny guy that gets dragged away in the end in his hand. And to do this guy, I had to do some fur patterning. So I went and got the fake fur in black, and I cut it into patterns. My original pass, though, he was just too thin. It just didn't resemble the character. He wasn't bulky enough. So I then cut additional fur patterns and went back and did another pass. And overall, it bulked him up in a way that just looked far more threatening and far more like the character itself. This was extremely time consuming, though, mainly because I had to rip the old fur off and make new patterns and put new ones on. But in the end, it at least got it looking more appropriate and more like the character in the end. So it was cool. His head I was very happy with, and even painting that was like really fun. So that's it for the horror stuff. I have other horror stuff that I'll be showing in the future. And once again, thanks for your time.